wiping ass. meeting to order. Any items from the public? Been a while since we've seen that agenda item. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Purchase order. Anybody have any questions on the purchase order? Moving on to the 7 internal budget revisions, Mr. Davis.
Yes, sir. I have 7 internal budget revisions for the council's consideration. The first is Department 404, the Sheriff's Tax Office. And some of these are related. Next week, I have the encumbrance requests that were submitted for the current fiscal year that I intend to review with you. So some of these internal budget revisions are being made in anticipation of the encumbrance request, because we're making sure that there's enough money in there. The funding that can't be addressed through will also be addressed through 2 state budget revisions. I'm doing a state budget revision for the general fund next week. So the first is one of those requests. The sheriff's requesting that he be allowed to reduce line. Is this one?
There's no light on the back.
The sheriff's requesting that he be allowed to reduce line 214 travel by $408. Current unencumbered fund balance is $1,000 with 0% spent to date, and increase line 341 supplies and materials by $408. One of the encumbrance requests that the sheriff is asking for next week is the purchase of 10 calculators from W.B. Mason's, with the cost to be split between Department 409 and 404. So this is anticipation of that request. The next request is from the assessor. Actually, the next 4 requests is from the assessor. The first request, Department 406 General Fund. The assessor is requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 220 advertising and publications by $200. Current unencumbered fund balance is $2,000 with 0% spent to date, and increase line 221 training and education by $200. That account currently has a deficit balance of $200. The next request is again from the assessor, Department 406, requesting that he be allowed to reduce line 468, assessor other contributions, by $3,500. Current unencumbered fund balance is $15,000 with 0% spent to date, and increase line 212 printing by $35,000 or $3,500. Current unencumbered fund balance is $4,576.04, and that's in anticipation of future expenses. Department 406, again, assessor, general fund, requesting that he be allowed to reduce line 103 employee salaries by $3,100. Current unencumbered fund balance is $107,083.79 with 79.37% spent to date, and increase line 108 overtime by $3,100. That account currently has a deficit balance of $3,013.98. The final request from the assessor, again, Department 406, decrease line 568 other contributions by $2,500, and increase line 222 dues and subscriptions by $2,500. That account currently has a deficit balance of $2,257.15. The next request is Department 409, Sheriff's Tax Processing. The sheriff is requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 230, contracted services, by $22,687. Current unencumbered fund balance is $41,533.71 with 30.75% spent to date, and increased line 220 advertising and publications by $22,687. Current unencumbered fund balance in that account is $26,455.20. That's one of the encumbrances that he is requesting in anticipation of the advertising required for the June 2020 delinquent tax sale advertisement. The estimate, or it's estimated to be about $49,000 based on last year's advertising, which was $49,332. So that will give him some of the necessary funding for the delinquent tax sale advertisement. As you recall, last year we had to put a little extra in there to make it right, but that should take care of the majority of that cost. And then the final request is Department 412 Extension Service. They're requesting that they be allowed to decrease line 214 travel by $3,775. Current unencumbered fund balance is $3,842.88, with 45.28% spent to date. And increase line 341 supplies materials by $3,775. Current unencumbered fund balance is $1,909.75, and that's to cover the final expenses needed for supplies material for the remainder of the fiscal year.
I'd say that the travel is money being saved because of COVID and moving the money around it.
Correct. Typically, the extension agents are traveling, and you'll see quite a few of travel expense reimbursements, and we have not seen any of those because they've all been working from home the past 2 months.
Right, Zoom and everything.
Just,
Mr. Biggs, I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
The election paperwork that came out and the advertisement said, you got any anticipation of that bill? Is it within the budget? It scares me when I saw that number.
Well, it is not going to be. We're keeping track of all the extraordinary expenses that we have been incurring due to the changes in the primary election dates. Anything, as you know, anything that's related to COVID-19, if we keep pretty detailed records, we are getting pretty quick reimbursement. In fact, Tracy Gilliam has been our COVID-19 grant expert, and was just recently, yesterday, committed by the state for our record keeping. Actually, it's her, the two Tracy's record keeping abilities. Apparently, we're the only one in the state right now that's getting it right. So they have the money, and they're reimbursing us on a monthly basis. So at the end of every month, for example, we submitted a reimbursement for the 80 COVID hours that the county authorized in April. They actually came back to us and said there's some additional expenses related to those hours that we could capture. So they're coming back to us with ideas on how we can draw down more money.
Yeah, and now it's 116, but those hours came
It's by month. So
Right.
the 80 hours was April. The remaining hours would be in May.
Now, I've talked about this, in our meetings on Thursday morning, but some of those 80 hours and 116 hours will be forced to pay overtime for coverage on the public safety side. So it'd be not. I'm sure that they won't do that, but that's a lot of money.
Well, it depends on if we can keep track of that over time, if there's any incurred during the remainder of the calendar year. So it's any expenses incurred during 2020. Mike Lang will be in here shortly to talk about, I know he's coming in to talk about some personnel issues, but the courts have reopened. They anticipate starting Saturday circuit court sometime in mid-June, so there'll be some overtime expenses for his folks. So I have asked him to brief you on that, only because we'll have to pay that up front, and that will be reimbursed. Then, of course, he's also going to talk to you about when you want to start community service back up. We're ready to start that
So
again.
we'll have Mike's group, we'll have sheriff, we'll have fire, we'll have prosecuting attorney's office.
And also circuit clerk.
Right.
If we start Saturday airs, that will affect the circuit clerk as well as prosecuting attorney's office maybe.
So,
But we're tracking Myra and the two Tracys and Penny are doing a great job of tracking all that.
Just a point of clarification, when you were talking about the transfer from 568 to 212 for the 3,500, you said 468, but you meant 568.
I'm sorry, 568. Yes, sir. Thank you.
any questions for Mr. Davis on the internal budget revisions? Change in status, we have a new hire recommendation received from Eddie Gokenair, Fire Chief, Fort Harry Lester, as a part-time as-needed firefighter hazmat tech with an hourly rate of $12.60 effective May 28, 2020. Change in status received from the Honorable Sheriff Curtis Keller for Elaine Mercurio. She is going from part-time to full-time administrative assistant with a salary increase from $13.96 per hour to $30,881 annually effective June 8, 2020. Change in status received from Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal for Ray Bawden. His salary is increasing from $33,900 to $34,900 for his 15-year anniversary effective June 1st, 2020. Change in status received from Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal for Calvin Blythe. His salary is increasing from $35,000 to $36,000 for his 5-year anniversary effective June 1st, 2020. Changes or corrections to those. Approval of minutes for May 14th, 2020, Berkeley County Council meeting. Everyone was present. Any changes or corrections? And moving on to the county council calendar, it will be here next Thursday in session. And primary election will be June the 9th. County will be closed. Boards and commissions. We have ambulance authority here in the chambers tonight at 5 p.m. Library board at 5 p.m. tonight. 9 a.m. WEPM Talk Radio. Vice President Delia will be on. Monday the 6 p.m. on Monday the 1st, Planning Commission. Tuesday the 2nd, 5 p.m. Sewer. 6 p.m. Stormwater. And next Friday, Vice President Delia will be on again on WEPM at 9 a.m. Any changes or corrections on boards and commissions? Need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion's been made. Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Hess, good morning, sir.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Wonderful.
Good. I got 2 exonerations I had to bring to you this week from last week's work, and they're both personal property office errors, and they both were double billed, and we had to correct them. The total amount of both of them is $316.08.
Yeah, motion on the personal property tax exoneration due to office errors.
President, I move to accept the exoneration of property taxation of $316.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Board and meeting reports, Mr. Barnhart.
Thank you for the opportunity, but I didn't have any meetings this week, so.
Mr. Mock, you're up.
Well, and most of the stuff I had was, say, over the phone and concerns and things that are happening. Talked to the state regarding structural engineering report for the roundhouse. The one on site, we actually had a senior citizens, county senior citizens meeting. We had 6 or 7 people in a room, always with individual tables all over the place, so it wasn't like anywhere near crowded. One of the things they're trying to figure out if they're doing the meals on going home, but they've done over 500 meals a week. But they have gotten through the PPI federal reimbursement, 65,300 for the home people that are, so many people are laid off. Things. But they're continuing to work with the home care, and they're trying to get up the project where they have them actually come to the building, because they have classes for folks that need additional care. But they're hesitant. They're tentatively speaking, they're not going to open June 1st because they're trying to figure out from the state what their regulations are with your home, like the nursing home, as far as bringing people in, because they have to do make sure everything is with the temperature, and they must clean everything up and all this other stuff, and they have to know what their numbers are and start bringing them in the building. It's complicated, so they're waiting. They understood that the Air National Guard is from Charleston is coming in to do all that, so we're waiting to find out what their parameters are. They haven't gotten there yet, so it's been interesting. Farmland, serious stuff. They have signed 7 easements since February 27th, which is unbelievable, but it was a backlog, and fortunately they were able to get everybody to, they came in droves, like the people had to sign it, came in, and then the people, it was a marathon getting all the people, because you have to have the lawyers there from both sides, you've got to have all these people, and it was a marathon, but they've signed 7 easements, which gives us now a total of 62 easements with 5,777 acres in Berkeley County for farmland. And I was talking to the Department of Highways. They're doing a replacement of the Bunker Hill Bridge, a small one. And they sent people. That's the one. Yes. But they replaced it once, but there's some other additional problems with it. It's right down from the Bunker Hill. Yeah. Yeah. So the question was, it went before landmarks, and landmarks they sent paperwork into the Department of Highways, and Ms. Blakey, who is the representative from Department of Highways, sent a note to me, wanted to know if we confirmed Todd's assessment, which it is a newer bridge, which does not have any historical significance, but just beware of the Mill Creek district as far as the historical significance, but he did not see, the landmark group, which I'm a member of, did not see any conflict by location or what they're doing.
Didn't know that bridge was historically.
No, but they always have to check. So they were asking that I could just send a note saying that the county council would confirm the landmarks report. So I just need to know what we do. Do we have to vote on that, or can I just send a letter of consent?
Send it to the board.
Yeah.
How old does it have to be considered historic?
Well, historically speaking, to be protected by SHPO, technically it's 100 years. But this bridge has been replaced like in the last 30 years or something. Something's sick, there's something wrong with it.
I would say just run it by the legal counsel, make
Yeah.
sure they're okay with it.
Okay. So I'll get with you, Norwood. I tried to get copies of that material this morning, but my internet was not connected, and I couldn't get anything to print down to have a handout to show people. So that's where we are. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Delia.
I did attend some meetings, but they were not regular board meetings. They were.
All right. Workshops. All right, Mr. Whitaker.
I did not have any meetings.
Or did I? All right. Board and commission vacancies, any activity there?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir, Mr. Barnhart.
I have 6 Region 9 people to be appointed. Do I have to make 6 motions, or can they all be on one?
Just do them all one time.
Okay, well, let me get ready here. I'd like to, I make a motion to reappoint Kathy Mason, Chris Strobel, Sandy Hamilton, Guy 83rd, Neil McLaughlin, Jim Klein, for a new term on Eastern Panhandle Region 9, which is a 2-year term.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Mr. President, I'd like to have a quick conversation about an appointment for the Regional Airport Authority.
Yes, sir.
Maria Lawrenson is currently a city member, a valuable city member, and the city has done away with some of their appointments out there. I would like to keep Maria on that airport authority. She's with her currently being a member. Do we need to interview her to continue on, or can I just make a motion to appoint her?
I'd say you could go ahead and make the motion to appoint her. But does that come with since it would be going from the city to county, does that come with a discounted fee or any fee at all?
The city discounted their funding for the airport, so that was their thought process to not, and I would say that I don't disagree. I think that it is in the county. It's growth around the airport, tax basis that should be and is being worked with the development authorities as well as the airport authority. So the distance from the city to the airport is, I don't think, although the city does have taxpayers that pay into the county as well, I don't think that there's as much interest today as there used to be for a city in the airport.
I guess my question would be, with every appointee that we have on the airport authority comes with a $5,000 price tag, I think, right?
Right, and we have vacant. We have
field
vacancies.
ones that they can, okay, all right. Yeah, I don't see those.
3-year term.
That's correct.
All right, anybody have any objection to that?
No, even second his motion.
All right.
What do you think of it?
Oh,
I
thought
did.
that he
I did make it. I do make a motion.
Does that come?
That's correct.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor, a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to see if we can schedule an 8 by 4 senior services interview.
Okay.
Mr. President, we also have a candidate applying for the Building Commission Board.
Yeah.
Should we schedule an interview?
I think we almost have to. There's a lot of questions in gray area there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Especially with his reference.
As it stands now, we do not have enough
Right.
that we fill the building commission vacancy, financing.
Opportunities that hopefully I'll be bringing to the council next Thursday, recommendations. So if we could move forward as quickly as possible and at least getting us a forum up, I would
Yeah.
appreciate it.
With all jokes aside, I think we know enough about Mr. Bentley. We need to interview him.
is there a term limit on that
Moves
position?
to appointment.
I would like to move to appoint him to the building commission because we do have some financing coming up really quickly.
Happy to make that.
I'll second it.
All right.
It's a term limit.
All right. All right. We lost.
Our token Democrat?
Yeah.
Be nice now.
All right. All right. So we have a motion on the floor.
He is anything but token.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. And Mr. Bentley, I'll ask Ms. Mock's question. We have several other boards since you were retiring that has vacancies, such as Building Permits Advisory Committee. We have Building Code Appeals Board. And you know, sir, they only meet once in a great while, so we'd be very much interested with someone with your experience to be able to set on those if you would like. Thank you, Mr. Bentley.
Contingent upon his retirement.
All right.
Gotta have something to do.
Yes. No,
Plenty of people busy with honeydew list.
there you go.
We make that effective.
I'm sorry, we could make that effective June 1st. Mike, are you still waiting for people?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Everybody's here? Okay, we're running ahead of schedule, so please, sir, if you would.
How y'all doing?
We're going wonderful.
Doing well?
How are you?
And I'm well. I'm well.
A little drizzly out there today.
Things are going well.
Morning, Calvin.
Things are going well.
Called liquid sunshine.
I used to call it liquid gold when I was mowing grass. But thank you for taking this time this morning. We are in front of you to recognize 2 employees for reaching a milestone in their career. We have Deputy Marshal Ray Bowden, will have 15 years of service, effective May 31st
That's
this year.
impressive.
It is.
We don't have too many people who want to stick around us for 15 years.
Yes, sir, and we have Sergeant Calvin Blythe will have 5 years, effective June 1st. Both of these employees are examples of why Berkeley County stays ahead of the curve and leads the way on how to conduct business.
Can we have them little ones up front too, if they come over to the
Come
side?
on up here.
One side or the
Come
other?
on up here.
We got, it's very important to put the little ones up there, man. You're gonna be us one day, huh?
Don't scare
You'll never get him to come back.
So without the dedicated and loyal employees such as 2 in front of you today, our jobs would be much more difficult. We are very fortunate to have the caliber employee that we employ. The professionalism and the know-how is second to none. It's not only the work quality that each of them possess each day, it is also the work quality that makes them a valued and treasured employee. It is our pleasure to present them with a service ribbon to wear on their uniform. But we're going to give it to their spouses or grandson to, they had no idea their spouses and grandsons were coming. I got the phone numbers and called yesterday. So, you know, they make my job easy. And I'm very fortunate to have the crew we have. We're blessed. We're truly blessed.
Well, I say it all the time with the court marshals that we have. It's very impressive. I mean, you notice out walking around the courthouse, you greet everybody with a smile every morning. I know you do anything and everything that you need to do, and quality by far is better than none. And I mean that. I really do. The perception that you all put out there, not the perception, but the perception that people have when they come into the courthouse, with you all being the first faces they see, and almost 120,000 people, or plus or minus a year, says a lot. So you're seeing every citizen of the county come through the courthouse, not individually, but the same quantity every year. And I hear it from the federal people, I hear it from the state people. They wish they could have the same group of ladies and gentlemen that we have here in our courthouse. I seriously do appreciate each and every one.
We're blessed. So that's all I had this morning.
How appropriate to have the spouses here today. I think that everyone with a good partner can do their job and hold their head a little higher every day and be a little more pleasant and caring when they're working with others. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
I think it always comes back to the spouse and their support.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna talk long because you guys know I can talk.
Oh, you're good, Cal.
I just want to say, 5 years, wow. I love my job, and I knew you guys weren't my friends but family when you guys found out I had cancer. You came and visit me. You came to visit me, and I beat cancer.
Amen.
I love my wife. Thank you. Mike, great boss. Ted, good friend. Thank you.
God bless you,
Thank
Cal.
you.
Take care.
You're, you know, I always say that anybody, My number one job is to be a boss, but my ultimate goal is to become a friend. And if I can be the boss and a friend, we both hit a home run. And that's Calvin. I consider you a very, very dear friend. Okay, all right. Well, we got some photos.
Mr. President, if you just delay the break just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Real quick. I know that we have, him coming in with COVID updates, but rather than hold Mike up for that, there are matters I'd like to do.
Oh, I do. I'm sorry.
We can bring it back.
Yeah, we will. Go ahead.
Well, we take
Just,
pictures.
just real, two quick matters, some direction on community service. And also I asked Mike to update you on the reopening of the courts and, what we can expect in June with these potential Saturday.
Yes. As you know, the courts opened up. Judge Lawrence put an order out, I think last week, restricting pretty much the flow in the courthouse, setting the court hearings. Instead of the magistrate court having 5 set every 15 minutes, we're setting 1 every 15 minutes. We have everybody gathering outside. If you see the signs and cones, Calvin did a great job of that. So we're restricting and controlling the flow. 1 in, 1 waiting in the hallway. We just keep continuous circle. It's working. Got word yesterday that Circuit Judge Redding is requesting to have some Saturday courts. I'm agreeable. I gave him a condition. I asked if he could not have an incarcerated individual because that doubles my manpower on Saturday. If we could just have public, and he agreed to that. So our flow, we're back down to about 300 a day now as it's going, but I think June 15th, Supreme Court said we could start having trials and grand jury June 23rd. So we're slowly opening up. It's a slow process, but it's coming, and I look for us to be hit on the backside of the COVID with the overtime and stuff.
I talked about that
Yeah.
15 minutes before.
Okay.
You know, you and the circuit clerk and the prosecutor's office and the courthouses, with the additional time that we had given, which is 116 hours, some of that time is going to come with overtime.
Right. But then we've also suspended community service and roadside litter during the whole COVID thing. And with your approval, I'm seeking to slowly open that back up effective Monday, June 1st. I'm seeking a little guidance on that.
Mike, if you need a location, we need a roundhouse cleaned up, and that would, hey,
Well-
with umpteen thousand square feet, you got plenty of space.
Well, we haven't done anything since COVID started.
Yeah.
We suspended the whole program. Go back, and guys have been mowing, keeping up on the outside maintenance as we could. We didn't realize the impact that community service had till they was gone, not there.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it as long as we're all protected.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to see anybody doing roadside litter and not protected with gloves and stuff.
Oh, yes.
Hand sanitizer regularly, and personally, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And most of that stuff's being picked up with grabbers anyway.
Yes. It's most non-touch anyway. How they call it now, no contact.
Right, right.
So, yeah, that was our stumbling block there. How do we open this back up? How do we try to get back to somewhat normal operation? We'll slowly open it up Monday and go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much for your support. Appreciate it.
Get everybody back up here again. I didn't do my job.
The little guy might want to read that. Might do a better job pronouncing. What's your name, buddy?
Rodney?
Ryan.
Okay.
How old are you?
Is that your papa?
He obviously doesn't call you that.
Poppy.
Ain't your Poppy, huh? Poppies are the best, aren't they? Huh? Okay. First of all, the Berkeley County Council would like to congratulate you, Ray, in recognition of the 15 years of dedicated service to Berkeley County and its citizens. So, a certificate that I don't recognize as what we're real happy to say. Thank you, sir. How we doing?
Right.
Next one, Berkeley County Council, Calvin. We are recognizing you for your 5 years of dedicated service to the Berkeley County and its citizens, sir. And, I think you got the certificate that you put in, things that you know comes from the heart. All right, this time we'll take a break and do photos. We'll be in the photos too. All right. Cheers. All right, we're back in session. Next on our agenda is Tim Zia from the Community Correction, he's the Director of Community Corrections, Community Corrections and Recovery Service Update. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. We are starting to see folks back at the Day Report Center again for treatment, which is good. The closure certainly impacted us pretty significantly prior to the restrictions being put into place back in, what was it, early March or April? I can't remember now. We had an active client base of about 220. We're now down to about 181. So we've seen a significant decrease, combination of
181, so you mean you had 30-some participants just fall out?
about 40. Well,
Fall out.
yeah, and not receiving new referrals because the court hasn't
Right.
been open. Certainly had was a big contributing factor there. So we're down to 181 as of now. Hopefully the courts are gonna get moving here, and we'll see an increase of new referrals here in the coming.
100 what?
181 from 220.
Right.
So, Tim,
220 was a stretch for where you're at with the space anyway, right?
We're making it work.
I understand.
We're making it work.
so out of the 100, or the almost the 40 people that you lost, 40 some that you lost, plus or minus, are some of those that just fell out of the program, or they, whatever, they finished their time, or a combination of both?
There may be a couple that finish their time, but that the large majority of those are people who without that personal connection,
Just couldn't do it.
yeah, and in my view, substance abuse treatment cannot be successfully accomplished by way of video.
The impact of those 40 people not showing up in courts or whatever.
I'm sorry?
These 40 people that dropped out,
Mhm.
some repercussions to that, and courts or something that say.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Everyone who stopped reporting a discharge letter is sent to the referral source, and then the referral source, whether it be probation, parole, or the courts, see to them. But we as a staff at the Day Report Center are very happy to start seeing people face to face again.
Now, Tim, we were talking earlier from the public safety side that there, with the additional time that we lost 120 hours or 116 hours plus or minus, that's been given out as additional sick leave. Does the Day Report Center, and will they see an uptick on their overtime because of COVID-19? I mean, with people, will you have to do more sessions to try to get people back on track, or?
That remains to be seen. If I'm wondering what's going to happen with the courts here in the coming months. If we see a big flood of new referrals, we're gonna handle them, and if that means some overtime, so be it. We're going to do everything that we have to do to accommodate all new referrals that we receive. Mhm. I can't answer that yet, though. We'll see what happens with the courts.
Correct.
I mean, the court hadn't been operating a couple of months. I assume it's a backlog.
That's exactly what I said from day one.
Recovery services saw a decrease in the work that they accomplished as well. The months of December, January, February, there were a total of 41 people who were successfully placed into inpatient detox or medically assisted treatment facilities. The months of March, April, May, there have been 21. So literally 50% of the number of people that they were averaging have been helped during the closures. Home confinement has also seen a decrease. There were approximately 90 people under supervision beginning of this. There's now 82, and that's primarily because the referrals haven't been coming in from the courts. Financially, as far as home confinement is concerned, this calendar year to date, $31,019 have been received from home confinement fees that have been collected. $618,126 is what the county would have spent on that jail bill for those folks. Overdoses have increased. The months of December, January, February, there were 118 overdoses combined, county, city, 11 deaths. March, April, and to date in May, there have been 162 overdoses and 19 deaths. So we've been significantly impacted by these restrictions that have been put in place because of COVID.
So Berkeley County and the city of Martinsburg residents, it lost 19 people last week.
March, April, May, yes.
So how many do we have in the first January, February?
December, January, February, there were 11. I just did 3 months compared to these 3 months.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
I'm just trying to,
Yep.
I got your 100.
December, January, February, there were 11 deaths. And these are now, just as the medical examiner has to determine that is the cause. These are just suspected deaths by way of overdose. But yeah, 11 December, January, February, and 19 from March to date. No, sir.
And I guess, Tim, one of the things that we said early on when COVID was being seen in the United States was we had the virus from the medical side, that we got to stop the spread. But we got to be very careful about how we handle this, because the overall effect could be devastating. And you have the uptick of suicides because of depression. Have the uptick of drug overdoses because people aren't seeing nursing staff as much as they should, or they just can't handle it being contained without getting out. And that's the thing about with the county council, we're trying to evaluate all the effects, trying to figure out what's the best thing for us to do in the future. It's tough. Trying our best.
Oh, I know. My vote would be, if there's the time, hopefully this is not going to happen, but if the time comes again for conversation to take place about closures, that we are certainly, community corrections is just exempt from these closures, because it hurts us badly. In my view, the consequences of closures are much more devastating than consequences of COVID. That's just an opinion.
Well, in about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I agree with what you had to say. You lost more people by overdose than by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that we got to see, we're seeing a decrease on our regional jail bill, but Mr. Davis, I'm not so sure the budget we set for next year is going to cover what we got to have coming for us. It's just the same way as Tim said. There's going to be a catch-up. Mike said the same thing Saturday, Court Glove. We can see the regional jail bill below our budget next year.
What I was thinking helpful about this difference between $3 million pay out. Recommendation would be to take that portion of the fund, put it in the bill account, and the council in anticipation of that influx of inmates.
Anybody have questions for Tim on his update? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we'll start our discussion of possibly any action on the COVID-19. Mr. Kearns from the Health Department. Good morning, sir.
Not a whole lot different from last week, other than our numbers are still staying relatively low. I guess I could say that. But
we do have another screening clinic that's scheduled. As many of you all have seen, we have it scheduled for tomorrow and Saturday at Musselman High School. It is for anyone that wants to come be screened for it. Certainly, we are highly encouraging for vulnerable populations to come out. But anyone that wants to be screened for it can come. It's a drive-through. They do it in your vehicle. We do have abilities to handle walk-ups, although without the Musselman, you won't have as much walk-ups as we probably had here at Martinsburg High School. But anyone can come in between 9 and 4 on tomorrow or on Saturday. And last time we did the event, we did 872 people screened in the 2 days, and which yielded about a 1.6, 1.7% identified as being positives. But that's a relatively low rate, and six of those people being asymptomatic. So we're looking forward to having it. We're not looking forward to the possible weather we're going to have tomorrow, which will play a big part in that. If we're having severe thunderstorms, which I'm seeing is forecasted, that may be a little difficult. Having tents up and the staff out on that, we won't put them in danger at all.
National Guard will put the tents up. I'm sure they have access to those big tents.
They do have some tents, but we had a lot of small 10 by 10 tents put up as well.
Okay.
And with the location that we have, you can't really put stakes into the asphalt to be able to secure them down like we did have at Martinsburg, where we had grass area to be able to put those in. So we will work through the situation best as possible, but it's another community event for free screening. Only we ask people to bring their some form of identification, especially if you're a minor. You have to have a parent or guardian to be there to be able to sign, be able to get the test performed. And it's pretty quick and for the most part painless, as long as you don't mind having the inside of your nose swabbed around some. It's not a nasopharyngeal swab unless we run out of our kits that LabCorp is sending us. Then we have to fall back on what the National Guard has, and those are the nasopharyngeal swabs. But we're having, I believe, 1,000 swabs sent to us. The difference about this would also be consistent with the program, the screening clinic that will also be held in Jefferson County as well as Morgan County this time. So all three of our counties in Eastern Panhandle will have clinics open tomorrow and Saturday for that screening. There's absolutely no charge for it. Simple paperwork to fill out when you come through. At the last event, we were averaging at the peak time an average of 100 people per hour go through the clinic. So they're very skilled individuals that run this. The Air Guard, or the National Guard, is incredible at what they do. Of course, my staff is super incredible at what they do. So they'll be running these clinics with hopefully great success. And we also tell people, remember, this is just a point-in-time testing. So it's only going to tell you what your status is at that point. It could change in a week. So I want to make sure that still people have the availability to come out and get tested, and with no limitations and no charge.
It doesn't give you the information. You don't get information of whether or not you've had it either, does it?
It's not an antibody test. No, sir. This is just a screening test. As far as we've been working a lot with the restaurants, and it's nice to see, I think, for the most part, ones we've been out to, they have really good measures in place for the inside dining. Haven't had too many complaints. Have had a couple, but that's normal. So we are going out and doing those educations, as well as the National Guard has been going out and meeting with places. And we've heard some people call in and they're concerned because the National Guard showed up and they went up. They were representatives of the health department. It's like, yes, they are. So they're going out and just doing education. They're not an enforcer. They're just going out and say, do you have questions about the guidelines or setup or sanitizing or any of those questions that they can answer? Because obviously with our minimal amount of staff, we can't get out to 600 some food service establishments in a short bit of time. So I believe we have 10 guardsmen that have been going out and doing that, just the education portion. Because also our staff at environmental health people right now are also looking at getting swimming pools opened up because and are working really well with us. There's a lot of guidelines in place for public swimming pools. Some of them will be easy, some not so easy. And I've been working with Parks and Rec with Mr. Catlett as far as trying to get them reopened for the season. And of course, the clinical people are still, they're running hard. We were looking at trying to reintegrate our staff back into the facility the first part of the week, next week, but it's going to be a little difficult unless we can get our caseload for COVID-19 taken over by other members either in the community that can begin to take these cases or someone from the state. Because right now my staff are working over 80 cases right now that they're doing investigations on, as well as doing daily calls. There's no way to do all those 80 cases plus on a daily basis, plus being able to do the normal duties. So we're still maybe a little bit longer in being able to get back to that, but certainly the facility's open for phones and people to call in, and we're getting his action as quick as possible and things. As some of you all know, that you may have already personally interacted with some of the staff this past week. But I'm proud of the staff that the health department's doing, and we're working as much with other agencies, and I totally concur with what Tim was saying about as far as the day reporting center. I just met with the day reporting center up in Morgan this morning, and feel that they are a medical facility for what services they're providing. So we need to work with them as much as possible. So if this would resurface again, and at probably some point in time it will, we aren't over this one yet, but we consider them definitely an essential service, and that they don't get they're not required to be closed. So it's Dr. Reedy calling me.
Yeah, and
Tim's giving you a thumbs up back there.
I want 2 thumbs up. There you go. Okay.
and the thing about it is not everyone could be affected from the COVID-19 in the county, which means 120,000 plus or minus. But we hope and we know that not all 120,000 people drugs, right? So, but his death rate over the same period is greater than the COVID in the county.
And that's sad.
Which means the percentage of the deaths happen from drug overdoses, which Mr. Bentley and I had that conversation a couple of weeks ago, is more devastating on this county and the nation than what the COVID had.
And are those deaths related possibly because of closures, because of the COVID? We don't know, definitely, but we can assume that it probably played a heavy part in it.
No different than the virus.
Yes, sir.
Because most, if not all, the people had preconditions before they got the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's definitely a collateral damage, and we talked about that in a couple of the meetings that we had with you and Dr. Reedy, that there's a collateral part that always has to be part of the conversation. What is happening on the other side? I listened to you on the radio this morning, and you were talking about
he's a rock star down
yeah, he's there every day. You guys had a conversation about taking a vaccine. If
Yes.
there was a vaccine, that it sounded to me like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that your opinion was that you can't understand why anybody would not take that. But yet there's 250,000 people die every year from medical malpractice that rely on medical to give them good advice.
Yes.
And so the other side of that is people looking at it and say, how do I know this isn't I'm not gonna get infected and die from it, So there's both sides to that coin, and that's why it's important, very important, when you make these decisions that we've been making and you've been making, that it's always have a group to look at both sides and have that conversation.
Absolutely, and there's not one single person that has been affected by this virus. Some
good thing
and some major, some minor, but we've all been affected by it.
The good thing about it is that we want to continue to express this is that this council and you, Bill, and Dr. Reedy and staff, and we went into this together. We went through it together, and as I said, we're going to come out of it together.
Absolutely.
Been a great team, and everybody's been open-minded enough to see all the views that the health department brings to the table, and and Dr. Reed's been, have open views of what we have to deal with. And it's been, one of those things that, you know, when times get tough, the tough get going, and we pull together, so.
It's incredible to see when an event like this happens, and it's just like what you were saying, that when an event like this happens, those conversations, those networkings get even more solidified than ever before. So definitely, as we worked with the council here, and right from the get-go, that was solidifying our relationship together to make these decisions together. During a little bit of venting last week to a legislator about my frustration that I wasn't always just necessarily getting the right guidance or the necessary attention that I needed from the state. Within 10 minutes after getting off the phone with them, I had General Hoyer calling me. And then the next morning, I had on the conference call along with Dr. Reedy and myself and Dr. McLaughlin, we had Dr. Marsh, Secretary Crouch, and General Hoyer on a phone call talking about what they can do to help Berkeley County, what they can do to help Eastern Panhandle.
Yeah.
So, and each week, a couple times a week now, I'm just constantly getting emails or a text message from General Hoyer. Are we helping? Do we need to do anything else? So that's great that's new relationships that's been solidified at the state level that's helping us locally. So I appreciate all that.
Bill, you know, we're talking about the overdoses and deaths and that issue, but I had someone call me last night and said, "Oh, did you know so-and-so?" And I said, a person committed suicide. They were not involved in this. So you not only have the ones that are medically, not medically, well, challenged with alcohol or some type of substance abuse, you have the regular folks that are having trouble.
And we can't underestimate the damages of mental health, the impact that it plays on our lives, everyone, and especially those that are on the front line that are dealing with this each and every day. I see it in my voices from my staff. They're exhausted. They're working sometimes 10, 14 hours a day. They're exhausted. And we're not done this yet. And we're far from being done. And but definitely when you hear of people committing suicide, you just have to wonder what brought that about, that they wanted to take their lives.
What are our numbers right
We're right about 300.
284, 286 on the state, 286 plus 11 possibles, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what this means now.
And actually, their dashboard has been enhanced now,
Yes.
so that you can go and actually look up the chart with every day that's updated on there. You can actually go and look up that graph that shows you every county in the state, how many positives they've had, how many people have been screened in that county, and how many deaths you've had in that county. Every day that's updated now. So DHHR stepped up to the plate to do that.
You have a nice website, by the way, too.
Oh.
284 on your website is what's reported. 187 of them has recovered. So that means we got 97 active cases, 6 deaths.
Mhm.
Our health department is a class act. They have a really nice building.
They do.
We're going to try to share the state's part as well now, because so many people are wanting to know how many people actually been tested in Berkeley County. So we want to share that part out as well, and that way they can get more information than what we're just putting out.
But when they go around and do the regional jail, you pick up a big number.
That, if it's any indication from what the other outbreaks, yes. And we work well with, we've done some of the migrant workers and here in Berkeley County and worked with Shenandoah. And, so again, it's all the community agencies coming together, which will be proof of that will be tomorrow and Saturday. It's not just Berkeley County Health Department here. We will, and we're Morgan County Health Department, either one. We're going to have state people. We'll have people from Shenandoah Community Health. We'll have people from the hospital. We'll have volunteers from the community in general coming out to make this event happen.
Will you be going between the different locations, or will you be stationed up at?
Dr. McLaughlin is going to serve as incident commander in Morgan County, and I'll be serving as incident commander in Berkeley.
How important is it to the general public to get involved with a testing that just gives you information for today? I mean, what's the value to that? I'm sure there's a value in numbers and be able to look at how the spread and those type of things works on your side, but how important is it to the individual?
I think just if they have any slight symptoms, they may be allergy related, as many suffer from. I think that they come through the clinic and they just peace of mind for them. We're not looking at building numbers to have more negatives. Certainly out of the 872, the majority of those were negative results, which certainly makes the state percentages look higher in favor and keeping the positive rates lower. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to have people identified that they know their status. Are they positive or are they negative? That's all we're looking for. We're looking to not gain anything additional to that. We know definitely our positives in comparison to our negatives in our county certainly are higher than what the state average is, but we expect that being our proximity to Maryland and Virginia.
Maybe that came across wrong when I said that. I think you guys, I understand there's a value for you guys to look at it and see that what the real numbers are of who's coming out and testing. Not that you're trying to build averages or whatever, but be able to use that to analyze where the spread and how it's going currently is. That's what I was talking about.
And it also those numbers do come back that are positive. When we look at those and we look at whether it's race or nationality or any of those different variables, we look at those, but it also continues to give us more of an idea that this is a community spread in virus in Berkeley County, that it's not just been outbreaks in one certain area, that we all of a sudden have almost 300 in Berkeley County and it's all in the city of Martinsburg.
Right.
It's community spread. It's throughout all Berkeley County. That kind of gives us, still as we do these additional testing sites, we're moving it around in different parts of the county so that we can maybe hit more of those people up there that in Martinsburg that we did. So definitely this is made available through the state, with funding through the state, that we're offering it for community.
No, I think it's a good thing. Thanks.
Like the state's percentage right now is 2.11%.
And I believe if we looked at ours, it's somewhere around like 6. Somewhere around that. Out of 4,000, and I haven't looked at the data this morning, but out of 4,000 some people that were tested, with 284 being, close to 300 being.
We'll say 7%. I was at a place this weekend. There was people, people and all. Also nice.
Yeah.
The northern part of the county pretty much is, the county had 0 for the longest time. They do like up to 18.
And we had our spike with after the last testing clinic, if you remember, and all of a sudden I threw up all the red flags in Charleston, but we knew it was in relation to that. We knew it was in relation to that screening clinic, which was what we wanted to do.
We talked about that before it even happened.
Absolutely.
We had that
We
conversation.
knew it was going.
We're going to have a
Test what
spike.
you're gonna have.
We knew it was going to
Yeah.
happen, and we'll see additional ones out of this clinic this weekend as well, and that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, I had people call me up and we're like, "What the heck's happening?" And I'm like, think of how many people were tested. We tested a third of the amount that had been, almost a third of what had already been tested in the county at that point, at one weekend. You know, you're going to see that. It had to happen, and thankfully it was a lower number than what could have happened.
But here's the interesting statement that we've been talking about for a time is the ones that have showed symptoms to give them a reason to go get tested has been about 7%. But when you test the general population, as you did last 2 weekends ago, it's 1.7%.
Well, and that kind of throws off, the theory, not that we're getting too far in the weeds, but the theory that we talked about there was 10 times as many people that have it than are actually confirmed as being positive. when you look at the average testing, I think that gives you a lower a percentage that probably actually have it that aren't part of the ones that need to go get tested, you know?
And also the ones that are going through the other screening clinics prior to these open ones, you'll see most of those people are fairly symptomatic because they're not going to get referred to those testing sites unless you call and you are symptomatic. You're not just going to go in because, hey, I want to go get my nasal passages cleared out and swabbed. You're not going to just be able to go do that just on your own. You're going to have some symptoms. You're going to be identified as a potential by the screening process, and then you're going to be sent through those places, whether it's over to the hospital or wherever else. Those are the ones that are getting tested. These, we didn't have hardly, I mean, the majority of the people who came through our screening clinic were not having any symptoms. They just wanted to get tested. And of course, that's why we're doing this, so we can identify these people. But definitely good points.
It's an interesting process that you're doing. I had no idea you could shove a swab down your nasal passage that far until I watched it go, and I'm like, that's got it.
Yeah, it's not something that you enjoy, but definitely it's a great project that's undergoing by many different agencies that are working so hard to get this service out to people, and hopefully our community appreciates the hard work that goes into this from the health department. We're tired, we're exhausted, and we're keeping on going as you would expect us to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you're doing and your staff.
And your staff.
Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Brian, you have any updates for us, bud?
Good morning. Nothing really new to report. Our crews that were in our self-monitoring have come through the other side of that, asymptomatic and back on the job, so that's always a good thing. We did have a low risk exposure from one of our office staff people that we've put into a 14-day self-monitoring protocol that had been in the building for over a week when she found out through her spouse that there was a possible exposure. So that's the only one we have monitoring now. Our people, now that things are opening up, they're starting to shift their focus to try to get them some downtime and spend some time with their families since they've been gone. So we look forward to being able to give them that opportunity, which means those of us that have been sitting in the office are going to get out of the office and get down on an ambulance for a while and try not to hurt anybody. But anyway, as I said, it's been a good week for us. So other than, subject to any questions you guys may have, I'll get out of here and let you continue your meeting.
I think it's good always to hear you come in and talk about the staff, how well they're doing, because the conversation we had last week can show how fast that can be degraded on losing one crew and then a second crew and then a third crew possibly. It doesn't take long.
It doesn't. It can turn on a dime, and I think we know that. And that's why your question sparked that, what we call that, I don't know if you'd call it a brainstorming session, because I don't know how many brains were there, but we talked about it and thought about it and put data together. So I think we have a good heads up of where we can go and before we start pressing panic buttons or something like that. So.
What about your supplies? Still doing good?
Well, we're holding strong on supplies right now. The problem is the supply chains. It's trying to backfill. As you know, we've received stimulus dollars as well as grant funding. We've went ahead and put orders in. The problem is most of the companies will just use the N95 mask. Most companies aren't even entertaining an order unless it's $25,000 or above. So, every 2 weeks we speak to our representative with a company called Henry Schein and try to work with them. When are these things going to be lifted? Are there any other restrictions on things that we're trying to order? Because I think we're okay now, not knowing what the future holds. But, every day you pick up a paper and it says, well, China just put the kibosh on 250 million more masks. So you just don't know. But we will continue to focus and follow up to get ourselves there. But as of right now, I think we're doing well to get started. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with Randy Lilly or anybody to see how they're doing. One good thing we did get the purified air protective rebreathers, PAPRs is what they're called. We did get 6 of those in last week, so now we have some up-level personal protection equipment that we can utilize with sheriff's departments, firefighters, and things like that, and we still have 6 more coming on an order, so we're getting there, but there is a concern based on supply chain.
Is it, are you, and I'm, and I'm assuming you're still working with other groups, you know, to do these orders so that you can get in larger numbers?
We are. We've looked at whether we consolidate with other counties, other agencies. Kanawha County being one of the bigger, I reached out to their deputy director, Larry Cole, to see if they were putting any kind of order in that if we collectively got together, we could meet that threshold. And we're all kind of communicating. I think there's like 16 ambulance authorities throughout the state that we've kind of brought ourselves together and said, hey, you know, what can we do collectively that helps everybody out? So we're working those things and those pieces, but I think we're all in the same boat. We all have an oar. We're all paddling. It's just there's no island in sight, you see? So that's where we're at. But yeah, we're definitely working it and networking pretty well.
It's amazing how this country has became so dependent upon other countries as a supply chain when you know, it's always been a bad idea.
And it's not just that.
It's not. I mean, something as small as the N95 mask. Why don't we have manufacturers here in the United States? You know, it's just crazy.
It is, but hopefully we learn something from it, and it gives us some new perspective moving forward. You know, we learn from history.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will do it.
All right. Anybody have questions for Brian?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We need to go back and look at our appointee, Mr. Bentley, on the building commission. I know we want to fill that spot. He sent the application in, expecting that there would be an application process of, you know, us putting him on there. Since he is not a retired employee of the county, his term needs to start after his retirement, which would be August the 1st. Is that correct, Mr. Bentley? So we need to rescind our motion or amend our
I made the
motion.
motion, I'll amend my motion to make August the 1st.
Second.
So the motion's been made, second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. The next thing we have is executive session pending real estate. On the COVID-19 stuff.
Hey, Hunter.
We have an order to open back up for the
Maximum capacity of 25 people.
right, yeah, and reopening the county council session in public for maximum capacity of 25 people within the chambers, and it's also one of the things we want to make clear. It also opens up our ingress and egress. One other thing we have is currently we court security at the doors to work. We're gonna have to get back over to the courthouse. So we just need to have a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any discussion?
There's no problem with going back if we have to go back.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Need a motion to go into executive session for real estate matters.
Some second.
We are in executive session.
See you.
See you,
See you.
Matt.
See you, man.
Got a question for you. Can you serve on the, can,
Folks call me Forrest Gump because I'm limp.
Gump, you're a genius.
All right, we're out of executive session. No action be taken, Mr. Barnhart.
Think about it now. Spit it out.
It's a hard decision here.
Approval of minute, or approval of, items for the vote.
Items of the public. Anybody here?
Mr. President,
Thank you for keeping us on the
Too
track
late.
here, Mr. Barnhart.
Save it.